Hi, it's Greg with Aroma Gregory and SoapByTheLoaf.com, and today we're going to learn how to take big blocks of soap and cut them into smaller loaves, and then take those loaves and cut them into bars of soap. So let's get started. Now when you order from our Soap by the Loaf site, you can get these big blocks of soap, which are about 30, you can get about 30 big bars out of this. And then you will cut this into loaves, and then after that you can cut it into bars. The first thing you need to do is to decide what size bar you want. Now you have a lot of options when you order a big block like this. Now the way we do it is I take this big block and I'll cut it into 3 long loaves this way. Maybe you don't want to do it that way. You might cut 4 shorter loaves going this way, maybe even 5. Smaller bars are good for bed and breakfasts. So it's totally up to you. You have a lot of freedom with this big block, but I'm about to show you how we do it, cutting this into 3s, and from there we'll cut it into bars. So now we're going to cut our block into loaves of soap, and the way I do this is, like I said before, in 3 sections. Now our molds are made by hand by a couple, so they don't always go 9 inches across. For example, this one is like, just a little bit of 8 3/4. So we had to do some creative math here. So to get 3, we have to go 2/17 30 seconds, 2/17 30 seconds, which is a score in between to right here, but it's going to work. And here's what I do. First I'll take it and I'll put a little mark, and then I'll come down here because I want to make sure that it's lined up, and I have my finger butted over here against the edge so I know that the yardstick is against there, and then another mark, and now we take the yardstick and I will just score this. Now it's not always perfect. It is handmade soap. The beauty of handmade soap, I'm just running along there like that, is that it is imperfect. It's not supposed to look like it came out of a mold from the grocery store. So there we have it, scored into 3 loaves of soap, and now we're going to cut it. And I use the pastry scraper for this. You can get these anywhere. You can buy them on Amazon, but make sure you get a firm one. And to do this, I line it up in the... Now you can also use a longer knife. So there are 2-handled knives that you can do this with. I don't use that. I'm not very sturdy with that, and I haven't really found one that's long enough. So if anyone knows where you can find one, leave a comment in the bottom. I'd love to have one, but what I do is make sure I eyeball it and line it up so it's not crooked. Then I push straight down in. When I come back up so I don't get it crooked, I kind of hold the loaves apart just a little bit with my finger to get some tension. Then start it in here and go back down. And then once again, here I'm doing it at an angle in the part I've already cut, so I can then go back down. There's 1 loaf. Then we just repeat. Get it straight, eyeball it. Usually with the pastry scraper, it takes about 3 cuts to get this all the way. And there, a block has turned into 3 loaves of soap. Now that we've got 3 loaves of soap, we're going to take one of those loaves and cut it into bars. Bars seem to sell the best in stores. Now some soap makers do keep it in an entire loaf and let the customer cut off what they want, sort of like in a cheese shop. But sometimes customers are shy when it comes to this. They don't want to bother you, or if it's their first time, they don't know how long it's going to take, so they just sort of dismiss it and don't buy anything. But when you have bars of soap on the shelf ready for them to just grab and take to the cash register, usually that's the best way to make a sale. So bars of soap are usually the top sellers. So once again, we're going to use our pastry scraper to cut the loaf into bars of soap. And the way that I can line them up and make sure I'm cutting straight, because I usually can't cut straight by eye. If you can do that, that's great. But I use a wooden miter box. Now a wooden one is important because miter boxes, which is normally used for cutting woodwork around window frames so you can get the good even cuts and the angles, they don't go all the way to the floor of the box. So we're going to you need to take a saw and cut it the rest of the way so that it goes down to the bottom of the floor of the box. Otherwise, when you cut into your bar, it's not going to go all the way into the bar of soap. It'll leave a little bit, and then it'll come out, and each one you're going to have to cut again and again and again. So if you will just cut that down with a little bit of a saw, brush off the sawdust, it'll be ready to go. Here we have our wooden miter box that we're going to take a loaf of soap and cut it into bars. And the width is totally up to you. Here we have it marked at 1 inch. We want bars to be 1 inch wide. So I have a little green mark right there. And we take a loaf. This is a smaller loaf that I had from another project. I've already cut a little bit off of it. You just slide it in and meet up with that mark. And then take your pastry scraper and then cut straight down. I'm going to turn it this way so you can see that a little bit better. Line over to the mark, cut straight down. The miter box seems to make it where you can get an even cut. If you're like me, who has a hard time eyeballing it, so I like to tell myself that I can get a straight cut with my, just from looking at it, it's not really true. So I do use the miter box. Then you just keep going. Until you've cut your entire loaf into bars. And sometimes you'll have a little end piece left over. Maybe you can use that as a sample or save that one for yourself. That's all there is to it. We took our big block, we cut it into 3 loaves, and we took that loaf, put it in our miter box, and like I said, you can do this totally by hand if you're good at it, and then we turned that loaf into bars of soap. Ready to put on the drying racks, sit for a couple of weeks, then they're ready to package up any way you want it and sell to your customers. For more information, visit our website at soapbytheloaf.com. The link to it is right in the description below the video. And don't forget to comment and like our YouTube channel. So, see you next time.